They fined me for too many cars, not realizing I actually own every lot on the block. James stood in the driveway, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows from the 6 cars parked neatly along his property. Each vehicle gleamed, a testament to his quiet obsession with restoration. To him, they weren't just cars, they were stories, each engine hum a chapter of resilience. But to the neighborhood, they were an eyesore, a violation of the pristine aesthetic Karen, the self-appointed guardian of Willow Lane, fiercely protected. Her complaints had escalated from passive-aggressive notes to official citations, and now, a community officer stood beside her, clipboard in hand, ready to issue another fine. "You can't keep doing this, James," Karen snapped, her voice sharp enough to slice through the humid air. "This isn't a junkyard. We have standards." Her perfectly manicured finger jabbed toward the Carsa vintage Mustang, a sleek Corvette, and others James had poured his soul into reviving. The officer, a tired man named Officer Daniels, sighed, clearly uncomfortable but bound by protocol. "Mr. Harper, the HOA rules state no more than 2 vehicles per lot," Daniels said, his tone mechanical. "You've got 6. This is your 3rd warning. Pay the fine or we tow." James's jaw tightened. He wasn't a loud man, never had been. But the weight of their judgment pressed against his chest like a vice. He'd moved to Willow Lane 5 years ago, seeking solitude after losing his wife, Emily, to cancer. The cars were his therapy, each bolt and piston a distraction from grief. Karen didn't know that. She didn't care. To her, he was the outsider disrupting her perfect world. "You don't get it," James said, his voice low but trembling with restrained fury. "These cars aren't just metal. They're mine on my land. You've got no right." Karen scoffed, crossing her arms. "Your land? You think you're above the rules? Everyone here follows them except you." The tension crackled as neighbors began to gather, drawn by the commotion. Mrs. Ellison, the elderly widow from across the street, watched from her porch, her eyes darting nervously. A few teenagers lingered near the curb, phones out, recording the drama. James felt their stares like needles, but he stood his ground. He wasn't just fighting for his car, she was fighting for his right to exist in this suffocating community. Then came the twist no one expected. A soft voice cut through the argument. "Actually, he's right." It was Mrs. Ellison, stepping forward, her frail frame trembling but resolute. The crowd turned, surprised. She clutched a worn folder, her hands shaking as she opened it. "I've been quiet too long. James doesn't just own this lot. He owns every lot on this block." A collective gasp rippled through the neighbors. Karen's face froze, her mouth half open. Officer Daniels blinked, his clipboard lowering. "What are you talking about?" he asked. Mrs. Ellison's eyes met James's, a flicker of guilt passing between them. "After my husband died, I couldn't keep up with the taxes. James bought the lots, all 5 of them, quietly, so no one would lose their homes. He's been paying the taxes ever since, letting us stay as tenants. He didn't want anyone to know." The revelation hit like a thunderclap. Karen's righteous indignation crumbled, her face paling as she processed the truth. James wasn't just a stubborn Lanera, was the silent benefactor keeping their block alive. The teenagers stopped recording, their smirks fading. Officer Daniels looked at James with newfound respect, then at Karen, whose silence spoke louder than her earlier tirades. But James didn't feel vindicated. His chest ached with a different kind of pain. "I didn't want it to come to this," he said, his voice breaking. "I bought the lots for Emily. She loved the street, loved its history. I thought I could honor her by saving it. But all you saw was a man with too many cars." Karen's lips quivered, but no apology came. She turned and walked away, her heels clicking against the pavement. The officer tore up the citation, muttering something about a misunderstanding, and left. The neighbors dispersed, some whispering, others avoiding James's gaze. Mrs. Ellison lingered, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, James. I should have spoken up sooner." He nodded, but the victory felt hollow. That night, James sat in his garage, surrounded by his cars, Their silent stories no longer enough to drown out the loneliness. He'd won the fight, but at what cost? The community he'd quietly saved despised him, and the woman he'd loved was still gone. The cars, once his refuge, now felt like relics of a battle he hadn't wanted to fight. The next morning, a for sale sign appeared on one of the lots. James stood beside it, his face unreadable. He wasn't leaving, not yet, but he was done hiding. If Willow Lane wanted a fight, they'd get one, but it would be on his terms, with the truth laid bare. What would you do if you were James, caught between personal loss and a community's judgment? Share your thoughts on justice, fairness, or the cost of standing your ground.